So, I wanted to tell you a little bit about why this channel and why this topic of colonizing the oceans and space is such a big, huge deal to me personally. It's not just a big deal to, theoretically to humanity. Why does this matter to me personally? And what motivates me to get up and spend all this time and effort and frickin' money I've actually spent on equipment, and why does it even matter to me? Like, what's it have to do with me? Um, well, here's the truth, okay? So I grew up in a really nice family, in Delaware, and it's a strange family because my dad came from a very Catholic family. My mom came from a Jewish family. So, and when they married, they each of them had their own communities that they could still relate to, communities that claimed them, even though it maybe kind of outcasted them from their communities. But me personally, like, I was never claimed by any community. And I worked hard to, to be a good kid and a good example in the world, and was never really talented, like a standout athlete or a really good um, academic or student or anything. So when I finally graduated from college at the age of 25, um, coincided with, well, a really bad economy at the time. And when I finally actually found a good job a couple years after that, 27 years old by the time I really found like a decent job. Um, I got it for like a year. And then the economy totally collapsed with the Great Recession in 2009. So I had just bought a condo when that happened. And I lost my job 3 months after I bought my condo. And then a girlfriend I had for 4 years prior to that, she broke up with me. So it was like just an awful period, in my life as far as like just trying to get through it. And I found myself staring at the ceiling, trying to think, how am I going to make it? How am I going to make all the bills? How am I going to live a life? I really wanted to be a dad and like just, trying to have a healthy dating life. Um, it was crushed. So I applied for many, many jobs, but nobody would even interview me. And I thought, I'm college educated. I'm hardworking. I might not be that talented at anything, but I'm a hardworking guy. And I do have a 2 year engineering degree, so I'm not the dumbest. Um, but it's just no way to make money. I just wanted so badly to make, good living. And after spending days and days putting out applications online, there's only so many applications you can put out, so many job sites out there with, local jobs. I would even apply for distant jobs, and it's just I couldn't find anything in the time. This is the 2009 2010 time frame. And so I started playing games to keep myself sharp. It was really like it sounds dumb, but like it was really like I would play games for an hour or two a day just because I was inside and I just needed to stay sharp. And I thought that was a healthy way to keep me, physically sharp. So, not fit, I mean, I still needed to work out, and I did. But um, but I also wanted to have some more abstract ideas, like some thought experiments, like how can a college educated guy in the, late 20s, how is it possible that I don't have access to a good job? I haven't been in trouble with the law. I've never been a troublemaker. I'm hardworking. I'm college educated. Got no kind of bad record, no kind of bad reputation. Why, why can't I find a job? And I took it on myself to be a leader, to come up with a leadership vision, which I was taught to do in the leadership program at the University of Delaware in 2004 to 2006 when I was a student there. And my leadership vision was that humanity could continue to grow indefinitely. There's more to do than could ever be done. There is more material wealth than all of humanity, all of the human race could ever consume. There's more material wealth in the universe. And there's no reason for anyone to be sitting around not doing anything, collecting unemployment. I was ready to get up and work. I just could not find access to do a job. I tried. I used every tool that I knew of. So I started. I downloaded a game. I mean, a software called SketchUp, and in some of the videos I was watching online, I saw that people were talking about space habitation, and it mixed with books I was reading from Ian M. Banks, the Culture series. I thought that was really interesting, and I started modeling what, like, what would 3D, what would space colonies look like. I started modeling that in SketchUp, and if you could build a space colony for 10 million, you could build space colonies for the entire human race. If there was like, 7, 8 billion people in the world, you'd need, 100 for every 100 colonies that fit 10 million people for every billion people. So you would need 800 colonies for 8 billion people if each colony fits 10 million. And I'm like, wow, like 800 of something could house the entire human race. Like, that's amazing. Um, and so I built like really, really rudimentary models of what that would look like. And then I started hearing something about this seasteading idea. And I was like, seasteading. These guys, these seasteaders, they have these crazy political ideas and stuff that I didn't really care about. The stuff that they were talking about online, I didn't care about. But when it came to seasteading, I had my idea of what a O'Neill cylinder space colony would be like. And I was like, well, if you took the O'Neill cylinder and picture like the tube from a toilet paper roll or something. Take the tube and you cut it, and then you unroll it to a flat shape. So if you take an O'Neill cylinder and you take your complete design and you just unroll it, and then you put stilts underneath of it, you could put it on the ocean. And if you had 800 floating cities that could each hold, I mean, this is all theory, right? Each one can hold 10 million people. Then you could have floating colonies for all of the human race. I mean, and you could position those away from all known storm tracks, because every cyclone and hurricane in history has been tracked, and you can see images of that online. And there are places that have never experienced a cyclone or a hurricane, and you put it closer to the equator. So it's not like right near the equator because it's 90 degrees every single day on the equator. But you can put it close enough so that the temperature is not too extreme, like a moderate temperature. And if these are floating cities for 10 million each, like you don't really need to have constant, you don't need to bring everybody back and forth from the colony. Most people just stay there pretty much permanently and then occasionally leave, like you do, like from your own city, you fly out to visit somewhere. Um, so I was imagining these kind of like conceptual ideas. And at the same time, I was like, we need leaders in society to sell things because, at the time, in the, late 2000s, early 2010s, it seemed like there wasn't any jobs. It was like, if we had leaders who were like selling things, like expensive things, not just your average things like cars and houses that most people have, because billionaires can afford those things and they keep all the rest of their money in the bank or invested. What about consumer products for people who can afford something that costs $1 billion? You know, there's since been more and more mega yachts that have been built in the last 15 years since then. There's a lot more mega yachts and more expensive cars that are like far more expensive than ever, before. But like at the time, I pictured it like, we need to develop products and services that can bring some of these billionaires' money back down into the general population. So that was my initiative in getting into sales. So and that's kind of the story of how I got into floating islands and floating colonies. It's all about selling the future. It's all about convincing people um, to loosen up a little bit on what they're used to and what they've seen in the past, and to accept the possibility of a brighter future. And once they are willing to move forward with this vision, I think it will ignite more passion, more hard work, um, and more excitement from a broader population. So that is the story of how I got into seasteading and space colonies. Let's call it colonization in general. So, and that's why I do this channel. Thank you.